Warning, this review will contain spoilers, and if you haven't seen the episode in the last 4 days and decide to go past this point, it's your own fault, so don't get mad at me.
Yay!
Good God, the Yaks are back, and their Season 5 episode was terrible, so I haven't got the highest of hopes for this one. But come on, Yakistan, surprise me! Try and give me a good episode if you can. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pones N Stuff. As I mentioned in the intro, the Yaks didn't leave the best first impression thanks to Season 5's Party Pooped, arguably one of the worst episodes this show has ever done. So whose bright idea was it to give these guys a second chance? Oh yeah, because we need another Pinkie Pie episode this season. Of course. However, unlike rock solid friendship earlier in the season, we get to see a level-headed Pinkie Pie. Yes, I know, she was still airheaded at times given her personality, but she was shown here to be courteous, driven, and sympathetic to a point. Why the hell can't we see more of this? Having Pinkie Pie be the straight player to the stubborn and blunt Prince Rutherford was a nice contrast that helped a conflict form from the second act onwards to be present but not too aggressive as a socio-political tug-of-war took place. Prince Rutherford wants to remain a decisive and powerful leader in the eyes of his fellow Yaks, especially following a natural disaster. However, it showcased his indecisiveness and weakness as he avoids the solution, threatening Pinkie and others with negative consequences if they don't comply, even when his people starve. The power play and diplomatic subplot gave this story some seriousness to balance out some absurd and quite funny comedy that had preceded it, making an honestly boring and flat episode have a spark of magic that made me feel like it had its purpose spelt out clearly, showcasing to younger viewers how politics and international relations work, even if it did seem to strip it back in its subtlety and depth at times. It actually turned out to be the episode's high point, as both characters gave you something to look forward to and see play out, only for the message and moral about accepting help struggle to get off the ground and be lumbered by its simple premise that the conflict was creating. It didn't hold a lot of punch when it came to its conclusion though, which was a strange bit of continuity with Pinkie understanding that the opposite of what the Yaks say is a good thing, much like the Season 5 counterpart. There was some nice animation bits too, especially the story visualization, breaking up the monotony of the snow, but when I look at the broader picture, there's not much else to say about it. After already noting the good character writing and of course the socio-political undertones with the story, hell, even the animation's good bits, I had to still talk about the negatives because there really wasn't that much to go on here. Seriously, if you look at what this episode had, they did the barest of minimum, and it really irritated me to see that because it showed that this episode was resting on its laurels and just waiting for it to pass by, not really making too much effort. It was predictable, underwhelming, and incredibly pedestrian. And when you look at whatever else this had to go on, it's easy to see why. While the story is buoyed by the politics within it, its slow pace meant that the episode didn't excite, and its flimsy narrative structure ensured all could be seen and predicted and foreshadowed from miles off, robbing you of any potential joy. The main six also ruined Pinkie's strong position as a character in the episode, undermining the legitimacy of the role that Twilight made for her, and reducing her to that zany self that we've seen over and over again, making her feel worthless, much to my irritants by its conclusion. The animation, outside of the already noted story area, did little to bring a barren landscape to life. The music, while containing some nice East European, Russian-inspired music for the Yaks, rarely went in different directions, leaving the ears just as downtrodden as the eyes. The episode put in its smallest minimums to help itself and left the viewer, in most probability, to pick up the pieces and try to enjoy it. Instead though, I didn't enjoy this much. I came out of it laughing a little, impressed with some elements within the story and writing, but just frustrated at what little they put forward, and much like the Yaks, I was left out in the cold. And that's where I stand on this episode, really. It didn't do what I thought it would try and do, which was to salvage the Yaks' reputation to the viewers at home. And while it showcased the place of Yakistan well and their lore through Yxluberfest, it exposed the wafer-thin construction of their personalities and the story as a whole, ensuring that while Pinkie's contrast with them was effective, it didn't manage to change my view much. And as for this episode as a whole, it had some good things to ensure that I don't write it off completely completely, but being satisfied with such a minimal return just is not worth it. This episode had one job and they blew it. And while it had good political undertones, solid character writing, and enough good humour to get me through what was quite a mundane experience, I was expecting way more than this. I left it with a mild-mannered Pinkie Pie and an exhibition on political relationships and diplomacy in Equestria. To leave an episode with just that is a poor deal that really hasn't benefited anyone. Overall, Not Asking for Trouble scored a total of 6 out of 25, which is a D-. In closing, Prince Rutherford asked me this: Yaks in episode, measly human analyze episode. Yaks did good? The thing is, Prince, the answer is no. I don't want to take a trip to Yakistan again as long as I'm breathing, because if you combine the Yaks with MLP, you are pretty much guaranteed to get a bad or poor episode out of it. And, yeah, I think we could avoid that in the future. That would be amazing. Because the thing is, my fears that I highlighted last week have been confirmed. We have ended this mid-season going into a hiatus on a bad episode, and I did not want that. But unfortunately it is the case, so what we have to do is rest up for the next month or two and hope that a Fluttercord episode can rebound and do what is needed to give this season a kick up the arse to continue a somewhat decent run. I'm hoping it can. I really am hoping, because if anything can make me happy, it's Fluttershy and Discord, so my hopes are lifted a little, but I would need to see the episode on release to be convinced. And of course, when Discord and Harmony is released in the US, I can then re-upload and make Pones and Stuff again. So logically, everybody, if you don't want to miss out when that is and when the next episode of this show will be, go to the Twitter at CCNetworkYT to keep an eye out on schedule updates and anything else in particular, so you don't miss out on anything. I've been Freddie Thomas, you've been people watching. This has been another episode of Pones and Stuff for the CC Network, and I will see you all after the hiatus.